Hey everyone, Bradley Jack Design here with another design breakdown, this time my Deandre Hopkins design I recently did. So I'm going to break it down here and show you everything it took so you can make something similar to this. A lot of the effects and stuff I do in most of my designs are pretty much the same. Basically the composition changes and the text changes throughout most of the designs. So I'm going to hide everything over here. You can see I've got some pretty organized layers, the background, and some other stuff. I'll just go through it when I show it to you. So first off, we've got this background. So there's actually a lot in the background, and I didn't add all of this all at once. I went and added stuff to the background once I was almost done. It just depends on what I think might look good in the design itself. So first off, we've got the field here. I've got a photo of Energy Stadium, a photo of the field here I masked so you can only see the field. I have some stadium lights from the same photo I moved up, so basically this sort of ends here, but I've got some stadium lights. There's a photo of a bowl I found that I threw in here because it's the Texans, the bowl, you know, whatnot. Then I actually have a photo of a map of Houston I have on here from like 1975 as some texture. Now you can see this looks bad and it's too busy and whatnot, but I've got a gradient map on top of it that goes from their dark navy blue to a lighter navy blue. So really this is just all textural in the background. I did duplicate the bowl layer just to make that a little brighter in the end result. And then at the bottom, I have the field logo masked out with no gradient map, or it's really just masked out, so this is on top, so the gradient map didn't really affect it. I have a bottom lighting panel here that I will show you in a little bit. So now we've got Deandre Hopkins himself in all of his photos that are in here. So what we've got going on, we've got this photo of him in the back that I have a levels layer on just to sort of darken up around the edges of his hair where it looked kind of weird. If you want to learn how to edit a photo like I did here, make sure to check out my How to Edit Photos in Lightroom and Photoshop in order to get this desired effect. I did the same thing with this photo of him running. I have a levels layer here set to screen that I just masked out except for certain parts of his body. His face was a little dark, so I wanted to brighten up his face. So that's why I would put this levels layer on here. Then we've got a photo of him pointing, which is the main photo in the design. Then I have behind him, you can't even see it on here, but I have it on there, his shadow from the original photo, so the shadows are maintained. I've got some other lighting layers in here, but I'll pop into those in a sec. So this is lighting in the middle. So I've got this sort of spotlight on him. So I'm going to show you how I was able to do that. So first what I have is this photo of sort of spotlight. You can barely see it on here. This is on the right side. This is more on the left side of it. And you can't see anything right now because I need to open up this layer here. So I've got this sort of spotlight image that I have this group set to screen at 15%, just to have a subtle spotlight on top of him. These layers here are on the sides and they add just a little bit more brightness to the sides. So I've got that light layer actually duplicated twice. This one is set to color dodge at 10%, which you can see brightens it up a little bit more as well. So these are the light parts. Now, hypothetically, if there's a light like this and you only want to see this, there needs to be some dark spots around it. So I use the same exact image, mashed around a couple times, and I have that set to multiply at 25%, so it darkens everything around the spotlight itself to darken up the scene. So I've got two in here. Why do I have two in here? Good question. Oh, so this one here is for the bottom here. So that's what this layer is down here. Bottom lighting. I've got the bottom of the spotlight masked out, so it's just the bottom spotlight here. So if we scroll back up, I also have a lighting just behind him that pretty much only applies on top of these. That is a screened levels layer that brightens up everything behind him, as if the light is shining behind him as well, which it hypothetically would if it's a spotlight. So I've got a bunch of these spotlight layers set to screened or color dodge and those are on top of a layer set to multiply 25% in order to get this sort of lighting effect. So on top of this, I have the text, pretty self-explanatory. I've got his name with just a stroke around it, and then some of his stats for the last 4 years, and then the NFL 100 logo below it. Don't really need to go much into that. And then I've got some textures on top. So we've got a texture that you can see is a little bit of some dust. I actually have the inverted. This is actually just a photo of some paper that I inverted and set it to screen. So it looks like some floating light dust, but it's really a piece of paper. On top of that, I've got these sort of floating specks from the top where the light would be, but I have the levels layer set to it so it's not so prominent. I have a lens dirt on top of everything, and I have a gradient map of red applied to it, so it's actually red instead of white, so it adds a little bit more of the Texans colors, but still adds some detail to it. And then I have a texture on top of everything to vignette everything, so you're looking into this middle area. Then on top of that, I've just got some final overlays. You can see here I have 4 in a gradient map. So this gradient map is set to soft light at 50%. This actually changes it dramatically, but it's adding in the brand of the Texans with the red and the blue that they use. Then I have some color lookups. I've got drop blues, so this gets rid of a little bit of the blues. This is only set to 25% though, so it's not doing that much, but the subtle change builds over time. I have futuristic bleak on top of that set to 25%. And on top of that, I have teal orange plus contrast set to 25%. And then on top of everything, I have good old reliable 2395 set to 75%, which gives us the final design. I can then throw his signature on there and my watermark at the bottom. The signature I have set to bevel and emboss, so it kind of looks like it's actually a Sharpie. And this is actually a copy of his signature that I isolated, and I've got a couple metal layers on top of it and then a gradient on top of that set to screen. So I was trying to make it look like a marker. So if it was a silver marker, he would hypothetically have signed it, and that's where we got this. So this is my Deandre Hopkins design. Let me know in the comments if there's something you want me to highlight again, or a technique that I used in here. I might have used it in a different graphic. I can break that down for you. Otherwise, if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for some more breakdowns soon. Thanks.